You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
Welcome to once again another episode of the 643.
What?
Double play,
What's that?
where we talk about sports and life and all stops in between.
What you talking about, Craig?
I am your host, Birmingham Baron JR, and this is
My grandma gave me that chain. DJ Mud Butt. What's up, bro? How you doing?
Hey, you know me.
What's up, world? How you doing? How y'all doing out there?
Yeah. I hope everybody's doing all right out there. Hope everybody doing better than some. Talking about some people out there, boy. Speaking of which, y'all see what's been going on with John Gruden?
Who?
John Gruden, the former head coach for the Las Vegas Raiders.
AKA Lil Don.
Lil Don.
Lil Don is third.
Lil Chucky.
You damn right, he Chucky.
Yeah, you know, so if you hadn't heard, I don't know where you've been, but he basically had it's come to light that he sent some emails years ago to the then I want to say the president, a general manager of the Washington Redskins, and you know it had a lot of inflammatory, derogatory things in those emails. But what was interesting, and you know what a lot of people have been pointing out was, you know, some of those things in the emails were kind of like, you know, swim in football terms, swim move past what he said. When he made the comment,
Explain.
And I'll explain,
please.
We made the comment about Don Morris Smith, and his lips looking like Michelin tires. You know, everybody wanted to say, I don't think that that's a racial undertone. I don't think that, you know, that doesn't sound like he's talking about black people to me. He tried to come out and say he called people that lie, that he labeled as liars before, as people with rubber lips. Yeah, it all falls into the insensitive, derogatory, inflammatory statements about African Americans and their lips. I'm gonna go ahead and say that. He should have stayed away from that. I'm just saying. But it wasn't that. It was the other things that have come out in emails that were sent. Things like topless pictures of cheerleaders, watch the Redskin cheerleaders, I might add. Things like calling Roger Goodell some not so kid-friendly names. You know, and speaking of drafting certain players, those type, and I'm not going to get too down into it, because
when you say certain players, do you mean defensive linemen versus offensive linemen, tight ends versus running backs? Like,
I'm referring to players that live alternative lifestyle. He had something to say about, at the time, Jeff Fisher drafting a player. So, you know, to me, it wasn't just these things. From the consensus, a lot of people weren't too favorable with John Gruden. And so for it to come out and for him to say those things, when he said those particular things, all of a sudden now it's cause for him to resign. At the time when the collective bargaining agreement was going on and he was coaching, and he said what he said about DeMaurice Smith, wasn't any backlash. It wasn't anybody coming out saying, hey, blow the whistle. Read, blow the whistle. No, it wasn't any of that. It was, let's swim, move past that and get on to the backfield. So, you know, I totally think that, you know, it was wrong to say those type of things in a corporate email that can be sent and copied to where, you know, now the world of people that might not quote unquote know you like that will be able to see that and have that type of opinion. But you're in leadership. And you take it upon yourself to say those things in an email about people that you work with. He talked about female referees. You know, so I mean, he talked about people kneeling, you know, during the national anthem. And the other part that I guess, you know, kind of is kind of eye opening is that he said this to probably someone he felt as though wouldn't get, it wouldn't get back to anyone. That it was okay. That it's amongst peers. It's in my circle, and I don't have to worry about it. That is even more frightening because, well, I say frightening. It's more disappointing because that lets you know that there are owners that probably condone this or had conversations that were maybe even worse than this.
Bingo.
And for one reason or another, they haven't upset the right or wrong person, and we haven't heard about it. Not to say that we would want to hear about it if they were, but I mean, because I don't want to hear about anyone saying those type of things that John Gruden allegedly said in those emails. But why you're in leadership? Why would you use your position to say those things? I don't care if it was to an owner or to the person that sweeps up the men's locker room. Why would you choose to do that in your position? Is my question.
That's one thing that sticks out to me is, and you hit the nail on the head. If I'm sending an email, if I'm sending a crude email to you, I know when you receive it, how it's going to be received. I know whether or not to send you some trash like that. If you're going to hit me back and be like, bro, miss me with that. I don't welcome that. So when I thought about it on a deeper level, the fact that you were comfortable enough to send numerous emails, right, to this guy in Washington, and for the NFL to have that information, they've had these emails for a while. This is just coming out. Like that's to me that's more alarming when you look at it. And from DeMaurice Smith's position is, now something like this shows, to me, it shows a systematic indifference. It shows systematic intolerance. If you can't look at that and see that it does, if I know you feel a certain way about a certain person, and I don't take this information and do what I need to, and you're still in a position of power, of control, of leadership, so I really expect Colin Kaepernick to be able to get a fair shot. And I'm gonna keep banging the Colin Kaepernick drum, because to me, what he did was he stood up and he sacrificed his livelihood for not for himself, for, as Kyrie said, the voiceless. He's a voice for the voiceless. The same type of backlash Kyrie is catching, Cap caught, because Cap was in the Gator community. He was already accepted in the elitist of the elitist communities, in the upper echelon of society. So that's totally different from the financial aspect of racism. He had already eclipsed that and gone to that other side. But once he got there, he was like, this doesn't look right. This doesn't smell right. So for me, if you got the NFL with and it's a gift and a curse, because we love football. We talk about sports. We love sports. But now we're forced to look at, what are we really appreciating? Why are we drawn to this thing if behind the curtain all of this other stuff exists? And it's not to say every head coach feels like John Gruden. I don't want to do that. I don't want to paint all the head coaches, everyone who is an NFL employee, everyone who's an NFL executive. They don't think like John Gruden and this asshole up in Washington. I mean, they don't. Every owner doesn't think like a Daniel Snyder and a Donald Sterling. So we have to be careful when we start to paint this as with a broad picture or with a broad brush. But I start to question the NFL when I can't go to that same extreme to say, okay, everyone in your organization feels the way he feels, and he articulated in those emails. If that isn't true, if the truth is actually somewhere on the other side to the contrary, then the NFL has to do something. The NFLPA should be saying, release the emails and expose the people who need to be exposed. Because what it looks like to me is the NFL had to use John Gruden as a scapegoat. Now, they didn't need him to be a scapegoat because his sins were of his own hands. It's John Gruden's imperfect. It was a series of mistakes that he's made. But if he has to atone and be held responsible for his actions, then everybody else who has sent something like that or who has the sentiments that John Gruden has, I think they should be equally held accountable. Does that make sense? Or are you of the opinion that, okay, well, since John Gruden, maybe there's other stuff that's in there that's not as collectively as damaging or disrespectful? You see what I'm saying?
Well, no, I believe that if it's inflammatory and it goes against the rules of how we conduct ourselves and conduct business, it's wrong. I've been under these little corporate structured rules when it comes to emails for like 20 years. So everybody that, works along in the area I work in understands that email that's a paper trail, digital trail, digital footprint, however you want to put it. So, if you choose to say things like that in a digital footprint that's going to be forever enlarged in the computer, in a database and things like that, then hey, that's on you. Then it's like I say, you can't go to the McDonald's and knock off all the stuff off the counter and then 2 years later want to go back and try to get a job there, because that's what they're going to do. Hey, you the person that came here and tore up our store 2 years ago. Oh, yeah, we're not going to hire you, and the police want to see you out back. That's what's going to happen. So you just have to be careful. You have to know that there's consequences to your actions and understand that when you do that kind of stuff, that it can come back on you. And what he's taught is these people, a lot of people in the 2021 that don't understand that when you do stuff in the past, how it can come back and haunt you in the future. He's gave them a good lesson, because these emails were sent like 10 years ago. And now today he's being exposed and coming out and being canceled and all that kind of stuff. Actually, they're not trying to cancel him. He just retired. He's not being canceled. He's just resigned from being the head coach for the Raiders. So like I said, it'll only be a matter of time before he's either back analyzing and evaluating quarterbacks, or he's calling plays on somebody's sideline, or he's consulting. So it'll only be a matter of time. They'll just make sure that he stays off the email.
I think the NFL will do that and use him as a scapegoat. I absolutely think that the NFL will leverage him as just like they leverage Michael Sams as the symbolic openly gay player that would be accepted. Now they're going to use John Gruden as an example of if you're not accepting of that player, of the ilk of Michael Sams. I'm not going to say an alternative lifestyle. And that's, to me, when I use things like that or say things like that, it means anything that's contrary or different from mine is it's alternative. And I'm not saying that as a commentary to what you said, how you described it to or anything like that. It's just to say that in our society, there's a subculture of, to me, everything that John Gruden talked about in those emails I haven't looked at it. And so I'm speaking out of a position of ignorance, right? But based on the cliff notes of what was in the emails, that subculture is still prevalent, and it permeates in the NFL to this day. there's great. We celebrated Michael Sims. He didn't make the active roster. He was out of the league in a year and a half. Not even a year and a half. In a year, he couldn't make a roster. Fast forwarded to Carl Nassib. He's come out as being the first openly gay player, and shout out and respect to him. We're taught that him living his truth is wrong or alternative because it's different from our truth. To me, what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? Is he a better or worse? Is he a better or worse football player based on his sexual orientation? Like that's, and I feel the way I feel as a straight heterosexual male. I'm secure in my sexuality, and I appreciate that. So I don't have to project my heterosexuality onto other people. And so in my mind, for them to be accepted in our society, I don't think we process it like that, because we love to say this is America. Everyone has their freedom of speech, of liberty, of independence, but this is off. This is off. This is off. This is off. So that same thing that John Gruden was doing in the emails, that again, you're sending this to the Washington football team, to one of their executives. If he's not cool with it, you're not sending that email.
That's what I was saying. He's sending it to people that he felt like it wouldn't get back to, which was like what a lot of people do. If I want to tell you something that I don't want everybody else to know how I feel about it, I'm gonna tell it to you. No matter how messed up it is, I'm gonna say, hey, look, man, this is what is killing me right now. And I'm gonna tell it to you.
But are you gonna text that to me? Will you say that on a phone call?
I'm not gonna text it.
If you email that to me, like, why?
I'm not gonna.
Why would you email that to me?
I'm gonna either call you and say it. I'm gonna drive over here and look you in your face, in your eyes, and tell you face to face what I have to say. But as far as sending like that kind of stuff over a text message or email, now, and I'm gonna tell you what you should have been focusing on. You should have been focusing on getting the Raiders #1 in the AFC West. That's what you should have been focusing on, instead of worried about sending them emails.
But this was 10 years ago, and that's the thing, and that's an interesting point of it too, that a lot of people on the other side that I disagree with wholeheartedly. Well, this is 10 years ago. People can change, and that's an element that I want to talk about too, is, can people change? I think people can change. John Gruden can be a totally different person than he was when he sent that email.
Yep. Who's that? And I'm just taking a look, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, Justin Herbert is got to be the front runner for MVP of the NFL right about now. I mean, you can even argue the former MVP Lamar Jackson is getting up there with that game he had the other night. But I think that the Chargers, other than the Cardinals, have had the best start to the season so far. This is my personal opinion.
I wouldn't disagree with that. I would. You can go a few different places, but the Chargers, they've been, to me, the most impressive. Their body of work has been good. They played Dallas really, really tough. Dallas beat them at the last second.
That's the only loss.
Yeah, and they handled Kansas City pretty good. That was telling to me. In the AFC West, that's the wild West.
Well, it's only the Wild West because you got Justin Herbert out there gunslinging. You got the Raiders are what, 3-2? I think the Raiders are like 3-2. You got the Chiefs that are. Don't worry about the Chiefs. Trust me, the Chiefs will be back, especially when it gets to around playoff time. They're they're playing for the playoffs. They're like that team that'll just win, barely to stay in there, and then they'll get their winning streak together, and they'll either get the wild card or they'll get that first round bye. But they'll be there. All right, I wouldn't worry about the Chiefs. Now,
You forgot Denver, the Broncos.
I don't think the Broncos are going to do anything.
Wow.
Shout out to Robert Mathis. I don't think the Broncos are going to do anything this year.
Bleep you, Robert Mathis. Just kidding, man. That's my boy. Shout out to Mathis.
They can't find Cortland Sutton, man. They finally found him like last game. He's like the tallest person on the field. He's like their Mike Evans. And they can't find him. So, you know, and they keep popping between Locke and Bridgewater. Locke and Bridgewater. Injuries might sideline them.
I think Bridgewater is a clear-cut favorite. He's a clear-cut, not favorite. He's a clear-cut starter. When Bridgewater's playing and he's playing, Bridgewater plays at a high level. I think Teddy Bridgewater is one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the league. For whatever reason, it may be. I'm not saying it's the way he looked, but I'm just saying he's underrated. It's a guy like Flacco can get more love than Bridgewater. I don't. It's call me crazy. Andy Dalton can get more love in Chicago than Teddy B. But I think Denver, the rosters in the AFC West are put together very well, top to bottom. Kansas City concerns me because they had to give Mahomes a huge chunk of change. I mean, you had to give him half of Kansas, half of Kansas City. So
he's worth it. And I mean, but look at what you have left. You still got Tyreek. You still got Travis Kelce. You got Edwards-Helaire still back, even though he hurt right now. They got a committee to back him up when he's out. They got Josh Jacobs. They just signed. I mean, Josh Gordon. I'm sorry. They got Josh Gordon. They just signed. So they have weapons. That's not the issue. And then, you know, Patrick Mahomes can take off running at any given time, along with finding people wide open every play. What I think their Achilles heel is going to be their defense. And if their defense gets gassed, he'll have to score 50 points, 53, 54 points a game.
He's going to have they have to score on that pace, on that level, in order for them to get it out of the AFC. I think the AFC this year, the construct of AFC teams there, it's a lot better from top to bottom. It's going to be very interesting. I don't think anybody saw this coming. So do you see the Chargers winning that division? Who do you see winning that division and why?
I can see the Chargers winning that division because they're playing some good football. And they play football in the cold weather. Like the Chargers out there, Keenan Allen still catches passes in the cold weather, and Mike Williams will still show up. They got Bosa, and then they got Derwin James out there. So I mean, they still have people that are showing up to play. And I think that the Chiefs will still make it to the playoffs out of that division. But I think that the Chargers will have a record because they're going to beat everybody. I really don't see them losing unless it's injuries. I don't see them losing to Denver. I don't see them losing to the Raiders. I don't see them losing to who else is? The Broncos, the Chargers, and the Chiefs.
Yeah.
They could beat the Chiefs again. So, you know, like I said, even with the Chiefs getting in playoff mode, they'll drop one to the Chargers because if they had to play them again, I believe good coaches like Andy Reid hires players.
Absolutely, he does. And he does, but the thing that concerns me about Kansas City in that scenario that we just that you just outlined for us, if the Chargers win the division, Kansas City they go into the playoff as a wild card.
Mm-hmm.
So more than likely, you are going to have to go into Baltimore, Buffalo, Tennessee, and get a win.
And they can beat any of those teams.
Kansas Buffalo.
Well, maybe okay.
They just lost to Baltimore.
They'll struggle against Buffalo. I believe that in the playoffs they can mess around and beat Baltimore. But as far as everybody, but that's all they would do after that. After they won that wild card round, is any given Sunday after that, and I think that's what they'll be playing for. They're gonna be playing to get the ball last, or either go up by 13, 14 points and hope that they can hold on to the ball to give your offense only like 30 seconds to try to come out and score. Because I mean, it's just their defense is. I mean, due to injuries and like you said, salary cap reasons, their defense is not stout like when they had Derek Thomas and all them boys up there. Because man, they'd be back in the Super Bowl easy. They had a defense like that.
That's one thing that gives me a little bit of trepidation about Kansas City is the fact that their running game, they haven't really gotten that on track, and their defense is so porous. Those two things, when you can't control the football, when your time of possession, when I can't go on a 11 play drive, an 8-play drive, when I can't do that, now I have to score quick, and I can't get off the field on the other side of the football. So a team like Buffalo, if I was Kansas City, they would scare the living you know what out of me. A team like Baltimore, to the same degree, because of Baltimore's defense. And I think Baltimore's offense is just, I think Lamar, his growth and development from this year to last year as a passer, that's becoming more pronounced. Yeah. We talked about it, the beginning of this year. I didn't like their offense. I didn't like how much Lamar was running. I didn't like the fact that he wasn't pushing the ball downfield, or I didn't feel like the coaches were allowing the receivers to help him. There was too much on his plate. And conversely, that may be the problem in Kansas City with Pat Mahomes. He got six interceptions, and he doesn't turn the ball over like that.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I think they'll get it together. With injuries and trying to live up to the hype and everybody coming at you, I understand being an Alabama fan that everybody has tuned their team up to beat you. So
there you go.
You will look like you're struggling, and you will drop a game or two. It happens. But what in the end also happens is you get it together when the train gets rolling, and when it gets rolling, it gets a head full of steam. Nobody can stand in front of it. So that's the only reason why I say that. Rudy T said it. Never underestimate the heart of a champion, and Patrick Mahomes is a champion.
Absolutely. I would bet with him. Justin Herbert also has a heart of a champion too, and Justin has a better team because his team is built differently, top to bottom. To me, it's the Russell Wilson syndrome. Once you get a franchise quarterback and he plays that first deal, you got to pay him his just due. So as a GM and as an organization, you have to be very creative in how you build your team and how you build your roster and the support that you give, your franchise quarterback. And that's one of the things for me is that I'm looking at Kansas City. I don't question Andy Reid. I don't question his play call. He's a great X&O caller, and I guess as the more I think about it, those are the teams that I trust. The teams with a franchise quarterback, possibly all-time great quarterback, and a legendary head coach. So, who do you have winning the AFC, if I may ask?
I like
through right now.
I like Buffalo. I like Buffalo right now. Buffalo to me has a complete team.
More complete than if Buffalo, San Diego. Not San Diego, Buffalo, LA.
Yeah, I say I would say Buffalo because last year they were there. They were there last year. They went to the AFC Championship last year.
I love Austin Eckler. That's the one thing that concerns me about Buffalo is their running game.
Yeah.
Devin Singletary, he's not a slouch. Zach Moss, he's not a slouch. That question mark is something that I question when I look at the Chargers. You know, you got Austin Eckler back there, and Mr. Jackson, but it's gonna be interesting all the same.
Oh yeah. Mr. One Hand pull-ups.
Is Big Ben done? What do you see Pittsburgh doing?
They need to go and get rid of Big Ben. That clock is ticking, Big Ben, and it's about then the gong has rang for you to go and get up out of there. They need to go ahead and get a younger quarterback that they can go ahead and find a new Big Ben and let him come up to be like Big Ben was. I mean, it's been like what 20 years. Big Ben been playing with them about 20 years now. Yeah, they need to find him another quarterback that lasts about another 20 years. That'd be pretty good.
That'd be the AFC. Dark horse team in the AFC. Give me a dark horse. Do you believe in Tennessee? I don't think we've seen the best of Tennessee, as much as it hurts my heart to say that. We haven't seen Julio Jones, a healthy AJ Brown, and Ryan Tannehill. We haven't seen them all together. Does that concern you at all, or you just meh?
Well, I mean, I think that the Titans will another team that's like getting playoff ready because all they got to do is win their division, and you know it's not like they got a lot of competition in their division this year. So, I mean, they should win the division, and then once they win the division, they'll be in the playoffs again. I'm just saying. I mean, you know, they beat the Jaguars. They'll beat the Colts. They'll beat the Texans. And that's all they really have to beat. You know, they only had to win a division. And I think that the Titans have a team that can win the division. Especially with Derrick Henry back there running that rock.
I love Derrick. Roll Tide. Roll Tide. Roll Tide. So again, I need an AFC dark horse. I asked you a very direct question and you danced around on me.
My AFC dark horse is going to be the Titans. I think the Tennessee Titans will be the team that
you can't do that, bro. I call
BS,
man. You can't do that. I just gave you. I said, what about the Titans? You can't do that.
But before you said that, I was saying that it's the Titans. That's my dark horse team. I mean, I can't just make one up. It won't be the Browns. They don't have a quarterback.
Why wouldn't it be the Browns? And that's
because Baker Mayfield can't throw for more than like 3-4 touchdowns in a game. He can't seem to mesh well with his wide receiver. Got one of the best wide receivers out there. He can't seem to find him.
Odell, it's your fault. Okay. I know you do all those drills, man, in the off season. I know you put in all that work, lifting weights, doing what you got to do, studying film. It's your fault, bro. It's your fault.
I'm not gonna say it's your fault, Odell. I'm gonna say this.
That's the story that we've been told. Do you believe that? Like, how does that? When I hear that, and I don't mean to cut you off. When I hear that, Baker is an average quarterback at best because of Odell Beckham.
That's only the Baker Mayfield fans saying that they can't be watching the games because if they're watching the game, they would clearly see that it's Baker. Baker's the problem. You look at, I'm gonna put it like this, and I'm not even gonna go in too deep into it because I already told people I hate the Browns. But you look at like the number 1 overall pick, and then
how John Gruden of you
32nd overall pick. Both won a Heisman Trophy. This one won a Heisman Trophy. In the same year in the NFL.
Don't do that.
One has won NFL MVP. The other one hasn't. Was it in the playoffs last year?
One is so much more athletic than the other one. That's the reason.
One getting out dueling the other one in the playoffs at one point last year is all I'm saying. So, you know, to me, Baker has a lot of growing to do. He does more insurance commercials than he does working on running and throwing, from what I'm able to see.
So I love those insurance commercials. But it said, "Hey, are these my shoulder pads?" He said, "I don't know. They could be. Make me an offer."
That's all I'm saying. In my comparison, I think that it's Baker.
You got that to me, that would be as crazy as it is, as much as it's not that I dislike Baker Mayfield. And that's one thing I want to explain it and make sure we get that out there. These are just opinions, and we're watching as fans. We didn't play the game or none of that. So our commentary is based on strictly production based. But for Baker, I would still pick Cleveland as a dark horse team in spite of Baker because of their roster. Because you got Nick Chubb, you got Kareem Hunt, you have David Njoku, who's an absolute freak. Shout out to the U at tight end. You still got Jarvis Landry, and you still got OBJ. I really, really like Kevin Stefanski. I'm a huge Kevin Stefanski fan. People are talking about Aaron Rodgers possibly going to Pittsburgh. If he was able to find his way in Cleveland, A-Rod, I know you want to go to Denver. I know no one goes to Cleveland, but I would. Aaron Rodgers in the Cleveland Browns uniform, they would be the hands down favorite to get to the Super Bowl from the AFC and to win the Super Bowl.
Like I said, as a fan, not a big fan of Cleveland, so I'll take your word for it.
But just indulge me a little bit.
Saying, like,
well, actually, you know what? That's a little erroneous because Baker hasn't gotten paid yet. A-Rod has gotten paid, so you would have to pay A-Rod a chunk of money that you haven't paid Baker. Would you play Baker Mayfield as a franchise quarterback? Because he's been solid for Cleveland. Think about all the quarterbacks that have played in Cleveland before Baker has gotten there. So with that being said, is he a Hall of Fame quarterback? I'm not so sure about that yet. But is he a serviceable NFL quarterback?
He's better than Johnny Manziel.
Oh, God. Is that because he's a Texan A&M alum? You know what? It just hit me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry about that.
He's better than Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football. Who else played quarterback for the Browns?
Tim Couch.
Oh, that was bad. That was 20 years ago when the Lexington legend played for them. That was years ago.
Deshaun Kaiser.
Who?
Tyrod Taylor.
Who? Talking about the guy that played wide receiver for the Redskins.
So with that being said, that was Terrell Pryor. So, but he did play quarterback as well. So with that being said, would you?
Oh, you said Tyrod Taylor. You said Tyrod Taylor.
Oh, you got jokes, man. This man got jokes.
Oh, you didn't say Tyrod Taylor. I'm sorry.
Are we doing that today, bro? I thought we was gonna be on our best behavior, bro. This is the first show, bro. We got on our Easter best, and you just gonna act like this.
Because we talk about the Browns. I told you, man. We talk about the Browns. Talk about somebody else.
The Browns can be good, man. But help me solve this quarterback conundrum that we have in Cleveland. Do you pay Baker? Do you pay him? Does he get paid?
Nah, I say you draft that kid from Ole Miss. Draft him.
I like the kid from Arkansas.
And he's good too. He's good too. I like him too. But yeah, you either draft one of those guys and let somebody else see how good Baker is.
I can't argue with you there. I cannot argue with you there. So that's the AFC. Let's move to the NFC.
Okay.
Who you scared of in the NFC? Anybody?
I mean, nobody really jumps off the page.
Not Tampa? Not Arizona? Arizona doesn't jump off the page to you?
Well, I mean, you say Tampa because, Tom Brady and everybody expecting him to go back next year.
You weren't expecting that.
I mean, Well, now because I see the Saints defense being able to get them boys some competition. But that's
He's
just
gonna shred them.
that's just me. But as far as Arizona goes, yeah, Arizona looks good with Kyler Murray out there. But I just wonder what happens when somebody figures it out and makes him sit back there and turn into a pocket quarterback for that one game. And either he wins or he loses, because at that point he's going to start showing what his kryptonite is.
I think his progression from last year to this year has been his play in the pocket. He's playing a lot better in the pocket. And he's playing better from the pocket, and he's passing a lot more accurately from the pocket. I think they're going to need they need running game, and he runs a bit much for me. The running, that's good the first 5-6 weeks of the season. But now that you have an 18 game schedule, that's a lot of banging. That's a lot of banging. Yeah. Seattle, Russ.
I don't know about Seattle, man. They look a little vulnerable. I think that the Cardinals can beat the Seahawks. I think that they can beat the Seahawks, and that's where I don't think the Seahawks make it to the playoffs if they don't win the division.
Absolutely not. They have to make it as a wild card. The Rams. What does the Rams scare you at all?
Okay, the Rams do scare me, because I'm gonna tell you what scares me about the Rams, their defense. It's not for the good reasons. It's because you all are so good, yet you still give up all of those points. You got arguably one of the best defensive linemen in the game.
Not arguably, the best.
And then you have arguably one of the better cornerbacks in the game.
The best. I love you, Jalen. Love you, Jalen.
And yet and still,
I love you, Jalen.
And yet and
I miss you so much.
Jalen Ramsey is pointing fingers and throwing his hands up and yelling and screaming after the play like that was your man. Who man was that? Who man was that? So that's the only thing that really gets me when it comes to the Rams is the defense, because I mean, it's like Matthew Stafford is an upgrade at quarterback from Jared Goff. So, and you got Cooper Kupp still there, Robert Woods still there. Now you got Deshaun Jackson to throw the ball to. They got Tyler Higbee out there at tight end. So, their issue is going to be just like the Chiefs. It's going to be the running game.
Bingo. That's how crazy. And I don't know if I was thinking about that the other night, the other evening. Besides King Henry and Najee Hines, not Najee Hines, Najee Harris.
Mm-hmm.
Where our bell cow backs are gone, because it's a passing league now, but the main drawback for a lot of contenders are an absent running game. Like that's it's crazy how quickly that changed, because that was one of a staple back in the day. You had I'm sorry, I said with the exception of King Henry, you don't have a lot of 3 down backs. Sorry about that. I misspoke. Ezekiel Elliott,
Dalvin Cook.
Dalvin got injury concerns, man. I love Dalvin. I love Dalvin.
If it wasn't for that, his injuries are really like starting to show up a lot more. But he is a bell cow back. It's not that many of them. You think a lot of them guys that, hey, Nick Chubb is a bell cow back. I don't care what nobody says. They got some with Kareem Hunt and your boy Nick Chubb there, man. Because
bingo.
If you take them guys and put them in anybody else's backfield, you'll have 2,000 yard or 1,000 yard rusher each, no matter where they played. If you had somebody holding any kind of blocks for them, they would be able to do that.
Kevin Stefanski does a great job dialing up his run plays, and I love Cleveland's offensive line. They will absolutely maul you. But I to your point, I love Kareem Hunt and I love Nick Chubb. I love both of those guys. That's why I like Cleveland as a dark horse. But that's I don't know. Going back to the NFC West, So you're seeing Arizona winning the division, and then the Rams the Rams. So that means the Rams have to go on the road. And if they're going on the road, they're 9 times out of 10, they're going on the road to Dallas. Dallas is absolutely scary. You're either going to Dallas or you're going to Green Bay. I like Green Bay to win the NFC North. I like Tampa to win the AFC South. The Cardinals, I like them to win the NFC West. So if you're the Rams as a wild card team, you're going to have to go on the road too. Same thing as Kansas City.
But they have a team that can beat those teams on the road. It's just a fact of both of their defenses showing up and a running game being there when the playoffs start. That's what it boils down to for either one. They got to be able to hand that ball off to somebody. And when you hand that ball, they can't fumble. And then your defense has to be able to give your offense time to rest. And they need to make some stops. That's just the bottom line. Your defense has to make stops, especially in the playoffs.
Okay. That being said, Carolina Panthers, how I'm a little iffy on Carolina. Sometimes I think they're the truth. And then Sam Darnold does what he did last week when you throw 3 second half interceptions and basically give the game up. Christian McCaffrey is coming back off injury. We said Tampa. We like Tampa to win the NFC South. New Orleans also. Do you see possibly 2? Well, no, 2 wild card teams can't come out of the AFC South because you got the Rams over there.
Yeah, I don't necessarily see. I don't see the Carolina Panthers really doing too much. And especially coming out the NFC South, I think the NFC South is going to be the Bucks, and then the wild card will be the Saints. As far as that goes, I don't see, Sam Darnold being his first year at the Panthers being able to like kind of gel and get that type of chemistry needed in order to go deep into the playoffs like that, or to make that good run. I just don't see that. I also don't see their defense as being that good to where they be able to stop people, along the way like that.
They just made 2 huge upgrades though at cornerback. You got CJ Henderson from the Jags, and you got Stephon Gilmore. That defense is going to look a lot better.
Yeah, but they need a training camp. It's not like you bringing in like a Big Daddy Wilkins and you just saying, okay, just push in the A gap, push in the B gap. No, those guys have to know man, bump, cloud, under, the different coverages, all the audibles. They need to know where to stand, positioning. To me, it's a little different, because every play on a defensive lineman, his job is going to be to push the person in front of him and try to get to the ball. Whereas at the cornerback position, you got to know where you're supposed to be. You got to understand who's behind you and who isn't behind you. So that to me takes a little bit more time.
I got you. It's definitely be interesting. I need a dark horse team from the NFC.
I'm gonna go with the Saints.
Wow. The fighting Jameis Winston.
The Jameis Winstons. That's right. The New Orleans Winstons. That's who I'm going with.
NFC dark horse. I would have to say I like the Rams. When I say dark horse, I mean that could get in the playoffs as a wild card and end up playing in the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I can see that, especially if Sonny Michel and I forgot who else they signed as a backup running back. If those 2 guys can do running back by committee, or either Sonny Michel turns into the Sonny Michel that left Georgia, then the Rams stand a really good chance of really making some noise in the playoffs. But if they can't hand the ball off to anybody, it just makes it a lot easier to crowd the line and, bump and run and drag Cooper Kupp down, which I don't need. I need Cooper Kupp to get wide open every play. And the same as Tyler Higbee. Every play I need y'all boys open.
Fantasy.
So that my fantasy squad can succeed. I'm just saying.
It's all about fantasy. I think Sean McVay will do a yeoman's job dialing some stuff up for Sony Michel and opening up that offense further on as further down the line as we get into the season. I think he has a lot of Andy Reid isms about him about being able to hide plays. He's a really good play caller. Really good play caller. I like his offense with the weapons that he has at his disposal this year. So it's gonna be an interesting ride, man. It's gonna be an interesting ride. Do you see any undefeated teams?
No, there's nobody going undefeated this year. Nobody. It's too. It's really any given Sunday, like how it used to be back in like the 80s to me, where you can go out here, you can get your first. I know the Jaguars hadn't got their first win of the year yet, but any given Sunday, the Jaguars can get their first win. That's what you're gonna have to do in order. That's how you have to come to play every Sunday. Every Sunday, Monday, Thursday, however you want to look at it, you got to bring it because anybody can beat you. The Jaguars looking for their first win.
They said after the Jags and the Broncos played, Urban Meyer commented to Vic Fangio that every week in the NFL was like playing Alabama.
Well, I mean, what can you say, man? Greatness, excellence. What else can you say? I mean, you're comparing one of the hardest jobs in the world to playing against one of the best coach college teams in the history of college football. I mean, it just speaks to the job that, we do at Tuscaloosa with recruiting talent and with putting the game plan together and actually winning. He's speaking from experience because we did beat Urban Meyer. We beat him bad. We sent him to the hospital, if I'm not mistaken. So he's speaking from experience, and when people speak from experience, experience sometimes is the best teacher. Is what I've been told.
Well said, Roll Tide. Jeez Louise. You're so arrogant. So arrogant. Super Bowl champ, who you got winning it all?
Man, I see the Chiefs winning it all. I see the
Wow.
Chiefs. See the Chiefs coming back against the Bucks and getting their revenge against the Bucks this year.
So you picked the Chargers to win their division.
Uh-huh. I picked the Chiefs to make it on a wild card.
You love some Patrick Mahomes.
And I picked Patrick Mahomes to just all the way to the bowl.
So does he win? Pat, if they turn around and make it to the wild card, and go on to get to the Super Bowl, he has to win MVP then.
Yeah, most definitely.
You like him to win MVP this year?
Oh yeah. Yeah, especially if they turn it around and start winning, like I believe they can. Definitely.
Let's say Lamar continues to play at the level that he's playing at right now, or that he's played at over the past 2 weeks. He does that in Baltimore.
Do they make it to the playoffs?
Does he win MVP? Does he deserve to win MVP?
If Baltimore makes it to the playoffs and the Chiefs make it to the playoffs, then and Lamar Jackson has been playing the way that he's been playing, and I have to give it to Lamar Jackson at that point. I had to give it to Lamar Jackson because, like I said, Lamar Jackson has been throwing the ball lights out last couple of games. I got to give it to him on that. So yeah, if he plays like that, unless Patrick Mahomes averaging 4 touchdowns a game and 400 yards a game, something like that, I would vote for Lamar Jackson in that regard.
What is wrong with Jalen Waddle?
What do you mean?
I thought he would translate to the NFL, and maybe it's my own naivety, if that's how it's pronounced. I thought he would translate and be a lot more impactful with the Dolphins.
Well, the speed of the game is a lot different than in college, and plus he injured himself. He he got to play through that injury, and that wasn't an injury that anybody can just bounce back from. He had to learn how to play through the injury, comes back and try to play in the NFL, and then when he starts getting pain and lingers from that injury, he got to learn how to manage that. But as far as it's hard for him getting open with Jacoby Brissett because he didn't have that type of chemistry with Jacoby Brissett like he had with Tua.
You said you wanted Jacoby.
I did. I like Jacoby when he was like he played for the Patriots and he was the backup for the Packers.
Oh, when he was backup.
But now,
but you wanted him to be the starter.
Well, I mean, now looking at it at Miami, because I thought that Jacoby Brissett was on, that, but I stand corrected. We need another quarterback. We need another quarterback. Not sure if it's just an offensive line that we need, but we need like a Justin Herbert type cat. We need I would dare say a Trevor Lawrence.
No, you don't get your hand off.
I would dare say we could use a Trevor Lawrence down there in Miami, and
that's our son.
I'm pretty sure that at that point, we start looking like remember the Titans then. But like I said, until
that's our football Jesus, and he's not. That's North Florida's football Jesus. Guess what? South Florida, y'all find your own football Jesus. All right, y'all tank for Tua. All right, so and then, do the disco for Deshaun.
And subluxation of the hip.
Would you take Deshaun?
Right now, yeah. Right now, I take Deshaun Watson. And just hey, like I said, what you do is your own personal business. There's a lot of massage parlors down there in Miami, so I hope he can stay out of trouble down there. But as far as winning games, yeah, I take Deshaun Watson.
Do you trust in Brian Flores?
Yes, I do. But he dismays that trust. Oh my God, every now and then. Every time I turn around, this man is I put it like this.
How so?
Against the Raiders. Why do you call a wide receiver screen on your own 1 yard line with your backfield in the end zone? You drop back, Jacoby Brissett drops back, he throws the ball to X wide receiver. I'm not even gonna say the name of who ran that crazy route because he was only running the play, and you get tackled for a safety.
The coach isn't. I guarantee you call that play. How good is Miami at running the ball?
Well, we were a lot better than a safety. If we had to do the goal line just to give us some room to drop back and throw, we should have did that. But no, on first down, we come out and throw the ball to the wide receiver in the 5 yards in the end zone.
I would want to look at that play because, it's not to be argumentative by any stretch of the imagination or to play devil's advocate, but that's with Jaguar fans. Everybody says our play calling sucks. Our play calling sucks. Our play calling sucks. Our play calling sucks. That's not true. When you have guys who drop balls, when you have players who miss blocks, when you have players that are imperfect, a play like a wide receiver screen from the goal line, that seems asinine and idiotic. But that play has a higher probability of getting you a good 5 to 7 yards. So you don't have to waste 2 plays to get 5 to 7 yards versus you getting that on 1 play. I totally get what you're saying. It's like when you're at the goal line, and when I look at it, sometimes with Kansas City, Pat Mahomes, they run a shovel pass where they'll put Kelsey in motion, line them up to one side of the offensive line. As soon as Mahomes hikes the ball, he goes in motion with him, and Mahomes will throw that little shovel pass. That offensive creativity is the difference in those situations that I think those plays come down to execution. So if I have a wide receiver screen on from the goal line, whoever is blocking for that wide receiver, he has to pick up the tackler. Did that happen?
No.
Was
What
there a
happened?
blocker?
No.
Was there a blocker?
No, there was not. There was not. The DB and the wide receiver were lined up in front of each other. The wide receivers took 3-4 steps back, and the DB said, "Oh, you're not running downfield." And he immediately ran up on the wide receiver when he was throwing the ball and tackled him in the end zone.
Okay, what was the size of that wide receiver? How big is he? Was he a big frame guy? Big frame player?
No, I don't think it wasn't Devontae Parker that he had did that to. It wasn't Devontae Parker. It was what was that other wide receiver? I can't think of the other wide receiver's name right now.
Okay, and do I have a shutdown corner? The only way I don't call that play is if I got a shutdown corner, because I'm expecting, as a coordinator, I'm expecting my player to make a play, or I'm expecting my quarterback to throw the ball away. If I'm about to throw a screen to you and I see the cornerback isn't playing off, he hasn't backed up when the ball is slapped. If he's going towards my receiver, I'm throwing the ball away. Does that make sense?
Yeah, throwing the ball away makes sense, but why would you call that play? Like, putting the team in the best position to succeed, to me, would be not running any play that would lose yards or cause you to get a safety in that situation. If he could have ran 3 seams, he could have ran 3 9 routes, anything better than the wide receiver drops back in the end zone.
Okay.
Like, why would you even have a play where one of the eligible people that can catch the ball is not even out past the first down marker or running toward the first down marker? It's my thing. We're trying to get room here to work with.
The bubble screen. That's it. And that's the answer to that question. Without looking at the play, I don't see calling the bubble screen on the goal line without putting a blocker in front of the receiver who's to catch the ball. Or I tell my quarterback, it's imperative that you read that cornerback. If that cornerback is anywhere near our receiver, we run the risk of taking a safety. To me, Jacoby Brissett has to understand in that situation, as a game, you got to be a better game manager on the field, than to get him that ball. Honestly, I throw the ball at his feet. No harm, no foul. We run it again. The caveat to that is, if I can't run a play where I either have to turn around and hand the ball off to the running back because I'm at the goal line, either of those two, if I drop back to throw a screen pass, now maybe I'm throwing a screen pass because my quarterback can take a 1-step drop or a two-step drop and get the ball out, versus if I hand off to my running back, I have to turn and give 3 steps. So now I'm a yard and a half deep in the end zone.
Bro, you're giving way more IQ and thought to it than I'm pretty sure Blind Flores did when he called that play, or let them call that play on the goal line. I'm serious. Because trust me, if the Jaguars had lined up and ran that play, you'd have stood up and been jumping up and down like, fire everybody.
There are a lot of Jaguar fans that are yelling fire the play caller, fire the play calling, fire the offensive staff, fire our coaches. They suck. That's BS. They don't suck. The play calling it's good. If you have good play calling, you also have to have good players. You can have the best play call in the world. You can have the best passing. You have the best pass play dialed up. If you don't have sufficient protection up front, and if your wide receiver doesn't get separation, you can have the best play call in the world, but that play is not going to be executed. So to me, I love that analysis of it. I get what you're saying. When you call a play and it doesn't work, you only have the results to look at, right? So if you call a play and it doesn't work, you say that was a shitty play. That was a shitty play call. And I get that. If you call a play and it works, you're like, man, that was a great play call because it resulted in a first down or a touchdown. You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying, but that's not this situation. I'm telling you, when you look at it, you'll see what I'm saying. It was the interception Jacoby Brissett threw against the Raiders. When you see it, you'll see what I'm talking about. Horrible play by Jacoby Brissett to throw the ball too. Horrible play to call on your own one with your back in your own end. You wouldn't even punt. When you punt from there, he
didn't do it, Dan Orlovsky.
You try to run the ball up and fall forward 3 yards so you can get room to punt. You do that.
How great is that? Would you have rather him do a Dan Orlovsky?
What's that?
When Jared Allen was about to tackle him for a sack in the end zone, Dan Orlovsky just ran in through the back of the end zone.
Nope. I'd have rather him drop back. I read him audible out of that play into something else that would have been able to get the wide receivers down toward the first down mark. It just reminds me of like John Madden. Did you used to play Madden? We were growing up. What Madden would say whenever it was like third down and you ran a play that didn't get the man to the first down marker. He ride out on you about how that's ugly football. If you need 5 yards, why do you call a play that doesn't get your receiver at least 6 or 7 yards, or at least to the first down marker? That's mathematics.
True.
Why would you do that? So for you to sit, for anyone, a play caller, offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, whoever, to sit there and run a play where you do anything other than go forward with your back in your own end zone is, as you said to me, questionable. And it is. You're right. It's like if I shoot a 3 and Popovich be like, no, don't shoot that. Then it go and he be like, okay. Yeah, you're right. It's exactly like that. You call a dive, a draw play on the one, and he run out to the 50-yard line. Everybody's like, "Woo, yeah, good play."
But then when you call that
dive play, and he get tackled for the 2-yard line, and he's like, "Oh, he almost got a safety on that one." Hey, that's a better chance than him dropping back 2 yards, 3 yards into the end zone, and you throw the ball to him, and the cornerback that probably runs a 4.3 or 4.4, like, oh, he's not going downfield, and he puts his head down, he sprints and tackles him, and all they doing is, this is what you see. This is what you see right here. This is what you get. Come on, man.
That would coaches coach, players play. I think I like good play calling. But I've seen a lot of teams throw bubble screens and screens from inside the 5-yard line. I've seen Alabama do it, and I've seen Jalen Waddle take one of those screens 90-something yards.
But not at the 1. We're at the 1 yard. Alabama's at the 1 yard line. We all know what's finna happen. We're finna hand this ball off, and we're finna get out here to this 7-8 yard line. We're gonna pound it until we get to the 10-yard line. So, like I said, it was a horrible play call. And I mean, like I said, when you see it, you'll see what I'm talking about. But that was terrible. That was terrible. But Waddle, like I said, he has to learn the speed of the game. And once he learns the speed of the game and he learns who his quarterback is going to be, whether it's Tua or Brissett, then he'll be able to get that chemistry with him, and he'll be able to get open or run the plays where, they can throw him open. But until then, he's still trying to figure out the speed of the game. He's a rookie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How long does Flores get?
This year? He probably has this year. After this year, it hadn't been a lot of talk. And what's saving them is that the Patriots are kind of on the bubble because they may win and they may not win. They may win, they may not win. That's what's saving them right now. And then, you got Zach Wilson up there. The Jets are kind of up and down. So, we looking all right about now. Everybody knows the Bills is a clear front runner, but they're a clear front runner for the AFC, period. And so that's why nobody's really worried about it. All we really are trying to do is stay in there, win enough games to make it to the wild card. That's what the Dolphins are playing for. And because, like I said, with the play calling, Flores is not trying to win the division.
But you have to understand, at being in the AFC, if we go back and look at those AFC wildcard teams, we're talking about a Pittsburgh. We're talking about a Baltimore, possibly whoever wins that division. You're talking about Cincinnati. You're talking about Kansas City. You're talking about possibly the Chargers, the Raiders.
Right. Now the Raiders ain't gonna be there. The Raiders ain't gonna be in no wild card. The Raiders not gonna make it because they're gonna be below the Chiefs and the Chargers. They're not gonna make it.
The Raiders haven't had their complement of their running game. When Josh Jacobs is back in 1,000%, the Raiders are going to be there. I think the Raiders are going to be there. They're going to be that's another possible dark horse-ish team, depending upon how they respond from the John Gruden fallout. But just as it relates to the Dolphins and being a possible wild card contender, if I was looking at it, I would say, okay, I mean, it's the same thing with the Jaguars. We're not in contention this year, next year, the year after that, we got to line up with Indy. We got to line up with Tennessee and to legitimately make the playoffs. Now, we're even talking about winning the division or going in as a wild card. That's going, you got to chase down Pat Mahomes or Justin Herbert or, Zach Wilson or, my boy in Buffalo, Josh Allen. Or you got to chase down Joe Burrow, or you got to chase down Lamar Jackson. It's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be interesting. Top 3 favorite cereal of all time. Top 3.
Top 3 favorite cereals.
Top 3
is Fruity Pebbles, Captain Crunch with the Crunch Berries.
Okay.
And Apple Jacks.
Wow.
Yeah, that's me. Who you got?
Captain Crunch Berries.
Okay.
Fruity Pebbles. Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I never really caught on to the whole Cinnamon Toast Crunch thing, man. I had friends of mine that used to eat it all the time, used to talk about it, but it never caught on with me like that.
You really?
Really, like I never, even after the milk, because like I said, we had it a couple of times, and the milk be cinnamon and be brown and everything.
Oh man,
that didn't sell me. But you give me a box of Fruity Pebbles, and I hope you got a box because this is mine.
You will need a scraper for the top of your mouth too, because that would absolutely the tissue on the top of your mouth.
That's Captain Crunch.
That I would eat so much Captain Crunch in the summertime, bro. The top of my mouth would be raw.
Yeah, man. You have to let that Captain Crunch sit in there a couple of seconds and then soften up a little bit, and then you be good because eating it off the rip. As a little child, everybody as a little child, when you ate that Captain Crunch, the top of your mouth was cut up.
And that's the difference between, I think, Captain Crunch and Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Cinnamon Toast Crunch, within the cereal being in the milk for a minute, you have to eat it. If not, it's soggy.
Yeah. And them good old Apple Jacks was like that too. And that milk after them Apple Jacks used to be so good. Oh my goodness, boy. But
no Fruit Loops, bro.
Are you serious? Fruit Loops is up there.
Oh,
man.
come on, man.
It's up there, but nah, I ain't messing with them Fruit Loops too tough like that, man. It was all right.
Bro, Tony the Tiger.
Hey,
no fruit, bro. No Frosted Flakes.
Look, Tony the Tiger.
Oh man,
it's not my favorite though. Tony the Tiger with some bananas cut up in it. Tony the Tiger with some bananas. Hey, I'm telling you, when I was growing up, we had the rooster. We had the Cornelius the rooster.
Kellogg's.
And we used to add a whole bunch of sugar and a whole bunch and the bananas in it too.
Raisins, anything.
Shoot, man.
I can't believe you ain't give Frosted Flakes no love, man.
Oh no, man. I mean, it was all right. I said that was kind of like, the basic cereal. Hey, you lucky. A lot of us that had to eat King vitamins. I did. I ate King vitamin a couple times.
I
Though.
did too, unfortunately. Speaking of Lucky Charms don't make the list, bro.
Nah, man.
Come on, bro.
I'm telling you why Lucky Charms didn't make the list because they were bland except for the marshmallows.
Bro, that's the best part.
I didn't like that salty, that bland, eating pieces of cardboard and then eating the marshmallows. That wasn't me. I ain't like that. That's why I ain't like Cheerios and all that kind of stuff. I like Honey Nut Cheerios.
That's good.
It was sweet.
Best adult cereal.
Mm-hmm.
No, what's your best adult cereal?
Raisin Bran. I don't eat it
just
as
like
often as I should. Like everybody should. We don't eat Raisin Brans often as we should because of how it treats me. Shall I say? But yeah, as an adult,
you need some fiber.
That good old Raisin Bran got you every time, boy. A Raisin and Nut Bran.
Raisin Bran Crunch. Yes.
Yeah, that's really good too.
I like me a good granola cereal.
Yeah.
Well, right on, bro. Honorable mention. You got any honorable mention?
Honorable mention for cereal. As far as my favorite, I'm gonna tell you one I really didn't like. I didn't like them Dig'em Smacks.
Oh.
Sugar Smack.
The red box, with the frog. I was a little iffy on that. I can't believe you know Wheaties. You didn't like Wheaties as much of a Jordan Extreme as you are?
You had to add sugar to the Wheaties. You had to add sugar to the Wheaties. You had to add sugar to the Total. You had to add sugar to the Cheerios. I like stuff that was sweet. I like that sweet cereal.
Just
like
straight
honeycomb.
Sugar. Yeah. Honeycombs don't get honorable mention, man. Come on, man. Are you serious?
And Blueberry and Count Chocula.
I was just about to say Captain Crunch berries.
Frankenberries. But we already said that I did
Oreos,
Crunch
no,
with the berries.
The cookie dough, what's the little Oreo cookies?
The Cookie Crisp?
Yes, Cookie Crisp.
That's all right. I can eat them without the milk though. I can eat Cookie Crisp without the milk. I'm like eating a little bit of chocolate chip cookie.
So do you think Fruity Pebbles where would you think Fruity Pebbles would place on everybody's top 3?
But if it ain't number 1, it should be number 3. I don't know what you're gonna put in between at number 2.
It was a straight sugar.
Man, that joint was so good, boy. It was so small that the fill up your bowl was half the box. So then you wanted seconds. That's the rest of the box right there. They knew they was getting over on people doing that. They knew
20 seconds in milk. They're limp. They're limp.
Well, that's why you had to eat it real fast.
That's absolutely limp.
Get tied up.
I feel like it's one that we're forgetting.
I can't think of none right offhand that we forget. And even it was a whole bunch for you. Remember Mr. T had that cereal?
Yeah.
That Mr. T cereal. You remember the Super Mario cereal?
Yes, unfortunately.
Pac-Man cereal.
Didn't do that.
Hey, I was a little fat kid. I'm sad I ate up all that stuff, man.
Right on.
Oh yeah.
Well, bro, we're gonna shut it down with the Fruity Pebbles. Shout out to that. Where we going next week? What you give me a top 3 that you want me to work on for you?
I had to send it to you, man. I can't think of nothing right offhand. We had to see what happens between now and then. Hopefully we'll have a lot go on. Alabama will beat Mississippi State this weekend, so I'll be in a partying mood on next time we record. We'll see what Jackson State and what Alabama A&M did to bounce back from the homecoming weekend this past weekend. And hey, like I said, shout out to everybody go to Alabama State, went to Alabama State. Ain't nothing but love.
Right on, Alabama State.
And Alabama A&M.
One time, Prime. I love you, Dion. We out of here. We messy as ever. 643.
Roll Tide, baby.
Roll up out of here.